Hello, Storytelling Ron, and this is about the 5 things that this Christian RPG series is better than D&D. Now, I was a 5e guy. I did a bunch of the campaigns. I did several homebrew campaigns with family members. Really got into 5e. As you can see on my channel, I had a bunch of 5e videos, including scores that are my biggest watchers, and they are. I was so into it, right? I was so into it and passionate about it that it got me to do that music, which is like the biggest thing on my channel. But it's gone woke. It's gone terribly woke, and you all can see the writing on the wall. And then when I looked around at other RPGs, I realized that they're all sort of susceptible to going woke. Like there's at any moment they could, they don't realize they can get Gina Carano, they can get the LGBTQT, can get in there as nice people and then take over your company and intimidate you with their niceties. And as a Christian, I'm like, it's the writing on the wall. I can see it happening. So I said, yeah, I got to do something else. And so this is why I have my Christian RPG. And I don't know if it's a business, a ministry, a hobby. I'm not a business person. I'm not a marketing. I'm just a GM. I just want to GM, but I don't want to be told what to believe. And I love my faith and blah blah blah. So, and I'm now researching the past, our medieval history, and I'm like, what the heck? We have erased it. We have erased it with our D&D and all this fantasy RPGs. We are erasing the true fantasy and the true medieval history. And I'm also getting into like slavery, the history of slavery, and it is brutal and horrifying and very pagan. And we're erasing that. We're pretending, the pagans now are pretending that they're chivalric, they're heroic, they're romantic, they're passionate. That was not the case in history. I mean, not the case. It was just horrifying. It was the Christians who were the force of good throughout history. The Christians, struggling everything to try to do something, were the force of good in history and ending slavery, ending torture, ending the brutality that was just prevalent everywhere for many hundreds and hundreds of years, even when Christianity was spread throughout Europe, and there was still plenty of paganism, 50 to 70% paganism still happening, and it was only because of the church and Christianity and the confronting of that we have the sort of the freedom that we have today. That's being whittled away, as you well know. And today, the pagans are now taking credit for all that, and they're also blaming the Christianity for all the bad things in history, which is so typical. I mean, that's what the Democrat Party does to the Republican Party. The Democrat Party is the pagan party, and they're saying there was a party switch right back in the '60s, and there's no proof of that. Look at them, and that's exactly what the pagans are doing in the role-playing games. And in history, they're saying there was a switch, and we're actually the good people, and the Christians are bad. So that's why I'm ticked off. I'm ticked off because I'm reading firsthand accounts of stuff happening back then, and what really went on. So that's what I want to this game to expose to kids, your family, your friends, and fellowship. And that's why I'm sort of trying to make it especially my Dark Ages one, more sort of an amalgam of history. In a fun way, in a silly, light way. I don't want to research a whole ton of stuff. I want it to be fun and playable and rules light. So I'm just gonna do a quick review here. Every game is rules light. It's 40. I'm doing 40-page booklets. That's my little format now. I'm gonna try because that's a fun little easy, and it's easy to put on the table. And I don't fill it with a bunch of stuff. I write plenty of books. Here's my series, Alfred. Okay, I write plenty. I fill it up with words. But I'm a GM. I am a practicing GM, and I do not need a thick book in front of me. I need this. This has got all the rules I need for the game. And then I'll have my campaign on the side or whatever as well. But this is the rules. This is all I need. And it's rules light. I don't fill it with I'm not being paid per word, okay? So let me go real quick to this to show you why this game is better than D&D, because I know the difference, and of course I'm biased, but I know, and this is for Christians, obviously. So first off, here's the Dark Ages setting. I got this book. Here's the Apostles of the Epoch. This is 2200-ish AD, 2300 AD. Same timeline. The Dark Ages of 6th century, okay? And this is in the near future, because you can tell Bidenomics the way it's going. You know, and I'm asking the Lord to push back the apocalypse and stuff a few hundred years. Hopefully he'll do that for us so we can have these games. And here's my Christians of Space. It's 2500 AD. And its creation science works perfectly. You've got aliens. Okay, so what happens is the atheists rocketed off into the stars. There's a translight drive. They discovered that, you know, time dilation, you can actually get to all the distant stars in only a matter of a couple of weeks. So it's kind of like my hyperspace. And it's just a concept in, you know, where starlight travel doesn't take as long as we think in creation science. So and that's why we can see 15, 20 billion year stars beyond that we actually go through. Anyway, time dilation. Okay. So everyone can actually travel to the stars in a relatively short time. And so the atheists went off and terraformed the planets from 2200 to 2400, so 200 years, which is plenty of time to do that and create an entire galaxy of the Empire and all the different, you know, just like Star Wars. I'm copying Star Wars and Star Trek and all that. But what they did is they terraformed and they genetically modified their humans and beasts to fit those planets for survival. And then, of course, they went mad and did all kinds of mad, crazy stuff as well. So when the Christians who were stuck back on Earth after a nuclear war and in their prison camps did the whole apocalypse game series, you know, to rebuild the Earth, they decided then that they need to go out and evangelize all the atheists that took off and, you know, terraform the other planets. And so in 2500 AD, obviously the missionaries are at this, you know, traveling out there secretly to the different planets and trying to do the exact same thing, evangelize and plant churches. And that's the game setting. And it's very fun, very open-ended. You can kind of create your own planets. And there is an overarching sort of empire that, you know, you have to deal with. And then the remnants, which is like the rebellion. And there's the dominators who are the inquisitors, and they have powerful abilities, you know, like, you know, vibration abilities and stuff like that. So there's a scary element there. And what the Christians have is they have prayer. So in all these games, you have the power of prayer. You have the power of blessings and miracles to help. So you do have like a force type of thing. And I'm thinking there'll be some cool weapons or whatever. I haven't really, you know, like lightsabers and all that. You do have power swords and all that, but there's no like specific, you know, weapon for the Christians that the others can't use, except the power of prayer, you know. The Christians do have that advantage. They do, you know, and we do that in real life. Okay. So I'm going to just go overarching. In the future, guess what I'm working on? And I just threw this together and I'm still working. I'm like tinkering with this one on my free time. I just finished a book on the Royal Navy's African Squadron fighting the slave trade. And I'm going to tell you, the description of the slavery back then is brutal. And we're ignoring that, what the pagans did. Now, did Christians run slavery? A little bit, you know, a little bit. And we finally said, no, you know, we did for 100 years or a couple hundred years. And it was not in the Christian lands, though. It was, you know, outside. And of course, the corrupt men, we all are corrupt. Christians are corrupt as well. So don't even, you know, that's the whole premise of Christianity. Everyone is corrupt. And they did slavery. But then the Christians finally rose up and said, we got to stop this. And it was only a handful of Christian men in Britain who did that. And anyways, and then started this entire war against slavery across Africa and the Middle East. We went up against the freaking Muslims, who were the biggest and most horrific slavers, and ended that. And sadly, today it's returned because there's no church, there's no Christians. We're not being strong again. And the 18th century, 19th century is when Christianity really was fully matured. The Bible was in more hands. The Royal Navy had a chaplain. They had an official position called a chaplain. So it was a Christian Navy. Now the chaplain wasn't on every ship, but they had that official position. And this is an amazing. This is a really cool and brutal campaign too that I'm working on. This one I'm working on, and I haven't touched it in a while, but I really want to do this one too. Gothic RPG, same game systems. I'm using the same rules, but a little bit differences. But this is about the 14th, 15th century where Satan is real, like demons are real. Where the witches actually made an open allegiance to Satan. You know, they weren't pagan anymore in the sense of like many multiple gods and all that. They decided now to let's use the evil dark god of the Christian faith, and align ourselves with that god, Satan. And so that's what this one is, and you know, the witch trials and all that. And don't be ashamed. I'm not ashamed of what the Catholic Church did and what Protestant Church did. I'm not ashamed. I'm making these games to prove and show you guys how tough and horrible it is to confront evil. And when you confront evil, evil gets worse, not better. And then you have to fight it to the end until it dies or submits. And that's the whole point of evil today. You're never going to get rid of evil. You have to get it to submit, and the only way you can get it to submit is brutally. I mean, in the end, because they want to sacrifice children. They want to murder children and human beings. That's their end goal: sacrificing others, murdering others. That's their end goal of paganism. Tyranny and slavery and murder and genocide. I mean, that's the end goal of paganism. So when we confront that, you got to expect that, you know. And today we're so ridiculously litigating and armchair coaching hindsight how, you know, we should confront evil when the real soldiers that confront evil are told they can't do it, you know. And so evil is getting more and more powerful today. We see that in the world today. Slavery and human trafficking is huge today, and no one's stopping it because there's no men confronting it. All right, I was actually going to go in a different direction with this video, but I'm going to just stop it here and tell you that this is my clarion call for a Christian role-playing game to reteach us in the church. It's really about building a church with your kids, giving them this fun game that helps them understand the church, understand missionary. What is a missionary thing, and what is evangelism? What is planting churches? That's what this game kind of does. But it's fun too. You get to fight. You get to do things. You get to confront evil. You get to, you know, it's harrowing. There's crazy stuff going on. And so all these are like done. The Dark Ages is free on my website. This one is, and although not in this format, I'm gonna make a fun little store on the website. I'm just figuring that out now as I'm doing my Kickstarter. And these will all be available too. And I'm gonna make them cheap, like, you know, $5 or $10 to order the PDF, and then you can order a print copy for whatever, 20 or whatever it costs me to print it and ship it. Because I really like these prints, like these little booklets I'm gonna do, like a set. Okay, so that's what I'm working on. I'm really into this. I don't care if it succeeds or fails. This is, you know, till I die. I'm just going to be tinkering along with this because it's really fun. I really love GMing this. And I'll do another video on the simplicity of the game. All right, thanks for listening. This is a clarion call to all of you for a For the Lord RPG, where we are playing a Christian role-playing game for the Lord and showing to our kids and friends and fellowship what Christians do and what we've done throughout history, what we always will do to fight for good against evil and confront evil. All right, remember, in the game of life, roll holy dice.